Good afternoon, everyone. I am Emma Toops, the Executive Chair for American Warriors and the facilitator for the Purple Connection. This event is hosted and sponsored by Toops Consulting, LLC. David and I are connectors, coaches, and consultants in Toops Consulting, and we thank you all for being here. Welcome especially to those where this is your first The Purple Connection event. For our new attendees, thank the person who invited you. They felt that you might benefit or contribute by being part of the community. And to our regulars, it's good to see you. Next slide. Here is the event agenda. I will start off with an introduction to American Warriors and the Purple Connection, and then introduce the educational networking program. We will have 3 panel members representing 3 categories. We'll have a veteran entrepreneur, a military support or community organization, and then a military-friendly company. That will be followed by a Q&A period, followed by transition tips from me, and then I'll start wrapping up the event with how to get involved with American Warriors and some future events, an intro to the lineup for next month, and then a wrap-up of the event. All right, so an introduction to American Warriors. American Warriors is a special interest group of the ACA Business Club, which is a private club where the philosophy is that business flows from relationships. People do business with those that they know, like, and trust. Thus, the members of the club are committed to creating solid connections by learning and practicing the fundamentals of strategic networking and relationship building. American Warriors are then club members who have an affinity with or support those who have served our country in military or public service. The mission statement for American Warriors is that we provide educational and networking opportunities for patriotic citizens who are leaders in business, and we support the transition into private and public sector businesses of active duty service members and first responders. The Purple Connection is one vehicle that the American Warriors fulfills its mission. The challenges of transitioning from the military is a very well-researched problem. It's evident by the multitude of military support nonprofits and community organizations that provide services to address those challenges. Driving Community Impact is a white paper that was published in April of 2015 by the Syracuse University Institute for Veterans and Military Families. They determined after several years of research and thousands of surveys that the leading gap in services was that there wasn't a lack of services and support, but it was a lack of connectedness of the services and support. Very often, transitioning military feel a loss of purpose. They may feel isolated or misunderstood, or they feel overwhelmed for their need of help, but are disconnected or lack affinity to the people and culture of their new environment. So how do you solve it? Create a partnership of stakeholders who have a common goal for supporting American Warriors. The Purple Connection is a community of partnered stakeholders with a common focus of service, support, and care so that we can effectively address the challenges of transition. What's up with the name? There's actually 2 reasons for it. In government jargon, the color for joint is purple. When our military is operating overseas on a deployment, that environment is comprised of a multitude of seemingly disparate entities with varying and differing purposes, but they have a common purpose through the operation that unites and focuses their effort. The Purple Connection is an attempt to replicate this type of joint environment to support the American Warrior in transition. Another reason is that when you combine the colors of red and blue, you get purple. In the Purple Connection, we are facilitating the connection of individuals who identify more closely to either the military community or the military support and business community. And when they come together, it's a Purple Connection. Here are the vision and mission of the Purple Connection. We create awareness to enable access and then empower action through collaboration and encouragement to expedite reintegration, support growth and healing, and enable opportunities. We do this by regularly bringing together community experts and facilitate connections through educational networking. Here is the rules of engagement for our panel program and networking. Each participant will have 8 minutes to deliver their remarks. I will be using a timer. The time can be stopped short and given back for Q&A or used up entirely by the panelists. However, when the timer does go off, please wrap up and we'll move on to the next presenter. Once each panelist has spoken, there will be 15 minutes for a Q&A with the community. If you're uncomfortable with public speaking or want to remain anonymous with your question, you can put your question in either the private or public chat channel and I will ask it for you. Questions are not limited to the topic of the day, but take advantage of the expertise available with our panelists for this month. Please be succinct in your questions and direct them to a specific panelist or to the community if it's a more general question about transition. If you have a complicated question, you may ask it to discover if the subject matter expert is in the audience, but if a response would take longer than 2 minutes to address it, I'll recommend that follow-up be done after the event. After the Q&A period, I will provide transition tips. And it's an educational segment for paradigm or process shifts or a recommendation to resources that apply to the topic of the day, which is community advocacy. After the presentations, if you have not already, please share in the public chat your point of contact information and how you serve or need support from the community. Excuse me. The chat will be saved and all attendees will get a cleaned up copy in a future email, and you can follow up with each other as you like. I will do event announcements and then start wrapping up the event. All right, our first presenter is our veteran entrepreneur. Tom Williams is an Army retiree and self-published author of several books in All Wet Publishing. His book, President You, gets you thinking about the role and responsibilities of national government and how citizens can affect enduring change. He'll share part of the story behind writing President You and information about his business. Tom, I think I saw you. So are you here? Oh, there you are. Okay, you are still muted, but you have 8 minutes.
Okay, I'm on the clock. All right. Hi, everybody. As Emma said, I'm a U.S. Army retired. I put 25 years in uniform and then got out and did some job searching on my own and did various jobs to find something that was comparable to what I'd been living with for 25 years and doing for 25 years. And then a few years later, I found what I thought was that job, and it was a government contractor with Uncle Sam, traveling the world doing anti-terrorism stuff during a global war on terror. Sorry about that. And then when that job went away, when the contract expired, I tried to figure out what do I want to do for my third career, and I decided that I've had a full life and I would write books. So I created my own company, my own LLC, which is All Wet Publishing. You'll remember that because you can say, Tom, you're all wet, you know, kind of thing. So I created that company and started writing my books. And as Emma said, my first book was President You, in which I basically wrote 20 chapters or letters of complaint. And then I finally realized that it's nice to complain, but you got to have solutions. You got to justify why you're complaining or why you're going down the certain path. And so I went back and read a lot of information, went back studying, if you will, and finalized my book. And I was able to get some help from a lot of wonderful people that helped me finalize it and put it away and put it on the street. And so that was my first book, President You. So here I am. I just published my third book. In this case, it's a romance. It's called Letters to a GI. So it has to do with a young lady who wrote letters to a soldier during the end of Vietnam War. And so again, a lot of my things I do have to do with military and service. As far as the Purple Connection is concerned, I was on the Joint Staff for 3 years, so I worked with a lot of Air Force, Navy, and Marine personnel. So I've got my little purple qualification, if you will. As far as the future, I'm still writing, still trying to publish books. And if any of you are interested in connecting with that and listening to my journey, I can certainly explain the trials and tribulations that I had and the successes I had in writing books. I chose for my course of action to self-publish rather than find an agent, a literary agent, and try to go to a major publishing house. There was also in the Kansas City area several local entrepreneurs who also run publishing houses. I chose not to go through them. And I thought I'd just go out on my own and try that. But I found very easily that I needed help with experts in other fields. For example, a book designer that can design the covers of my books, an editor to correct my illiteracy, if you will, because I'm not a grammar guy, that can correct my spelling and context and dangling participles and all those things you knew how to diagram sentences back in 7th and 8th grade. So I needed an expert that could help me with that. And so I met a publisher who publishes her own books as well, and she helped me through my first book and get it on the street. So that being President U. So again, the resources are out there. You've got to look for them, but primarily decide what you want to do. There is life after the military or whatever you're doing. If you're retiring from a professional field, some other field, there's plenty of opportunities out there to focus on what you want to do. All you got to do is find your niche and then go forth and do it. That's kind of me in a nutshell, and I'll turn it over back to Emma for the next presenter, or if anybody has questions later on.
Okay, you have about 3.5 minutes left of your 8. Does somebody have a specific question for Tom? Okay, Richard, you have your raised hand. What is your question?
Tom, what was the approximate cost to get your book published by yourself like that? Would you say, if you would be kind enough to share that with us?
Sure. Well, I went through Amazon.com, so I, rather than doing my own printing presses and having to deal with all that, I uploaded my manuscript through their KDP publishing firm and let them review it, and then it's basically a print on demand. So if you order it through Amazon, they'll print it and they'll ship it to you. So for me, there's no real cost to do that, just the time and effort to write the book and make sure it meets all the parameters that Amazon and their KDP publishing branch has to get it on the street. I will tell you, it cost me about $1,500 to create my LLC through an attorney's office. There again, that's to separate my personal life and my house and my cars and all the other stuff from my business as a standard practice. And I hired a First Amendment attorney to make sure that I wasn't violating anything in terms of that realm. I hired a copyright attorney to make sure my copyright could be done. And those expenses ran about another $1,000, about $500 per attorney.
What's your email address?
Yeah, I'll post that here in the chat.
Sir. Okay, I'm out. Thank you very much. Outstanding.
Great question, Richard. We have another raised hand with Grant. Go ahead, Grant.
What are some of the pros and cons, Tom, from self-publishing or doing it on Amazon versus, you talked about not finding a bigger company. What are some of the pros and cons on both of those?
Well, for me, the self-publishing route fit better with my schedule. I mean, I'm still a homeowner. I got house to take care of and yard and cars and taxes and all those things associated with your life and going on vacations. And so I really wanted the flexibility to write when I wanted to write and publish when I wanted to publish. And if I get a writer's block, then I can go off and do something else and let things sit a while and come back to it. And then I'm not under the pressure of an agent or a major publishing house to meet certain deadlines. So I have a lot of flexibility in doing it. I also found that I went to the library and read some books on getting published. And there was a lot of challenges, finding a literary agent and one that would accept you as a client, and then getting that agent to meet with all the publishers to buy your book or even look at your book. And I felt that was a longer step and a longer process that I wanted to deal with. So for me, the self-publishing was the best approach.
All right, great questions, gentlemen. Thank you, Tom. That was the timer. And so we will move on to our next presenter. Thank you. All right. Our next presenter is our community organization, which is going to be represented by Santos Arellano, who is a constituent service manager for a U.S. Congressman. He's going to share that all citizens have the ability to raise concerns to their congressmen and women through service managers like himself, and also maybe describe a little bit about what a congressional inquiry is. Santos?
Well, thank you, Emma. And thank you all for being here. For the veterans that are on here, I wholeheartedly thank you, and for everyone else who assists the veterans in any capacity that you guys do, I thank you guys as well. A little background about myself: my dad, and as well as my uncles, they both were Marines, and or they all were Marines, and both my grandfathers served in the Army. So understanding what it means to serve, I didn't serve, but I know from my family what it's like. So again, thank you to everyone. My job here in the Congressman's office, I work with every agency under the sun, every federal agency, IRS, VA, SBA, any agency that you can think of. The Forest Service is something that I've even worked with, or is an agency that I've even worked with. So my job is to take a constituents issue and turn it into a congressional inquiry, and then try and get a favorable outcome for the constituent. And then when that is not possible on an individual basis, that's where it becomes a constituent's problem, and it now switches over to policy change. And what does policy change mean? Well, policy change means that I sit down with the member, my boss, the congressman. I sit down, we sit down more in depth with the constituent, and we try and figure out, what is the roadblock here? And so that's our goal as congressional staff, and specifically constituent service managers across the United States. Every congressional member will have, give or take, one or two caseworkers or constituent service managers there. So regardless of where you are in the United States, I know this is, where we are here, but if you're, relatives in California or friends in New York or wherever that may be, you could always suggest for them to give their representative or even senator a call. Again, going off of a little bit of what we do, VA issues for veterans specifically is a huge, as a huge thing that we do here in the office. Securing appointments, securing VA ratings. I know that there's a lot of veterans that are going through AMA and legacy appeals problems right now. And then that's something that we're working on the policy side of things as well. SBA, we all know how hard COVID hit all of our small businesses. And so one of the things that we did was, help constituents, and we helped several small businesses owned by veterans, secure funding from the SBA when times got rough. IRS issues, that's another thing. You don't have to be, a big wig or anything like that to have IRS issues. I'm sure there's someone here that maybe didn't receive all of your stimulus checks in a timely fashion. We help with that. or maybe you didn't receive your refund or you still haven't. That's something that we can help with. Another veteran, heavy veteran thing would be DD 214s and military records, seeking those from the National Personnel Records Center. I know that has been rough over the last couple of years, getting those from the National Personnel Records Center, or having the VA recognize your service because you don't have a copy of your DD 214 and the MPRC is taking forever to get that. Grants for businesses, for communities, that's something else that our office helps with in terms of trying to find grants that fit specifically what you are looking to do in whatever capacity, because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of grants, and it's easy to get lost in that. And another big thing that the Congressman really enjoys is military academy nominations. So again, for a lot of individuals here, what it's like to serve. What it's like and what's required of individuals to serve, in terms of I could go on. I don't need to explain this to you guys, but military academies, going back to it, it's one of those things that it's important to have our state represented at the military academy level, and so congressmen, as well as senators, they can appoint or nominate individuals to attend those academies, and that's something that Congressman Graves really enjoys doing. So some big wins or some big projects that we've been working on, just to give you an idea in the veterans world, what we've done. Lake City funding, there was a potential that Lake City funding was going to have its budget slashed. And so that was something that it was a bipartisan effort to ensure that those jobs and that funding for Lake City continued to be there for that area, because for those of you that don't know, Lake City Ammunition Plant is right in our backyard here in Kansas City. Again, nominating students every year to the military academies, that's something that we work on here every year. October 14th this year is our deadline for that. So if you know of any students that are juniors or up, that are interested in a military academy nomination, again, even if they're not in our district, send them my way. I'd be more than happy to chat with them. Nonprofit veteran organizations like Caregivers on the Home Front, we're working on that with, again, the AMA and the legacy appeals, and as well as the caregiver program for policy change there. And then two smaller things, when it comes to constituent or congressional inquiries. We recently got $180,000 for a veteran and back pay that the VA said, oh yeah, no, we don't owe that to you. Not at all. We look back at the MPRC and the records that they provided, and we don't owe that. And so we had to fight for that. And we were able to get that veteran his money, changed his life. And then one of the last things here is the Atlas VA program for rural communities. Not everyone has the ability to drive right down the road to one of the major VA medical centers, whether that be in Leavenworth, Kansas City. So, ensuring that individuals in the Northwest and North Central Missouri have access to VA healthcare. So the biggest reason why I'm here, and I'm super thankful that Emma has me on this afternoon, is to spread awareness as to what Congress can do. We hear it time and time again that the Republicans and Democrats are fighting, or, this is going on or that's going on. And I'm here to tell you that, my job, I don't ask you if you're a Republican or Democrat. I don't ask you how you vote. We don't, as an office, care how you vote. Our job here is to ensure that we're representing you. And so, if there's ever anything that anyone here needs, or you have people that that need help, feel free to have them reach out, as I know Emma's going to share my information. So again, thank you.
All right. Very good. You are inside of 30 seconds of your time limit. You did that very well. All right. So we will have a Q&A period after our third presenter. So 20 seconds is kind of not enough time to do a specific question to you, but we will probably have some for you in a little bit. All right. I'm going to go ahead and reset this timer and introduce our third panelist. All right. Our third panelist is are military-friendly company, and Caleb Galemore is the owner and a fabricator in Innovation Hub. And what they do is they are a physical marketing company. They create signage and support other marketing strategies for businesses as well as community organizations. So Caleb, you are up.
Hey everybody, thanks for having me. Again, I'm Caleb Gilmore, co-owner of Innovation Hub. My business partner and I, she's a former military wife. I did ROTC through college, big supporter of the military. So we want to make sure we put an emphasis on helping the community. We help everybody in the community, but we specifically like to help out our military. We have a lot of our clients are military. In fact, we've got a military company, right, or company that's been owned by military in right now doing car wraps. So kind of what we do, like Emma said, we are a physical marketing company. We offer signage on the outside of buildings or inside of buildings. We offer vinyls on walls, windows, floors. We do automotive wraps. We do is banners, retractable banners. They could be your simple 13-ounce scrim. Any way you're trying to promote yourself, we can do. All the way from wide format printing. We do some short run printing. We do a lot of promo items. So if you have an event coming up that you're looking to help promote your business, we can help you either with your print marketing or any of your signage that you might have out there. So we started in a garage, and now we're moving up. We're kind of turned more into a wrap company, but we have a lot of cars coming in. We've got a lot of banners, a lot of signage coming up. The business is starting. And our goal is really to help the community. We're based out of Olathe, and as we grow, we want to be able to help bring up our community, help the companies in the areas be able to be seen and help them be successful. And anybody out there that's looking to do that, that's something our goal is to try to help you do. So I don't have a whole lot more.
Okay, we have a question. Jim has his hand raised. Jim, you have a question for Caleb?
Actually, a comment. I just want to say, Caleb, I worked very closely with Keisha Hart a couple months ago, and you guys produced a fantastic banner for me when I was representing Park Place Payments at a couple of conventions and that sort of thing. Yeah, the absolutely. Craftsmanship, the work, the personal attention, it was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And I just want to commend you and your team for everything you folks are doing.
Well, I appreciate that. We worked really hard to make sure that we put out a really good product, and it's a passion. It's definitely something we want to be able to help everybody get exactly what they're looking for.
All right. Tom, did you have a question?
Yeah. You do like t-shirts, sweatshirts, baseball caps?
We do. Yep.
Okay.
We can do direct garment. We can do embroidery and screen print.
Now, do you provide the shirts? Do I got to buy my own shirts and bring them to you?
We have we have access to wholesalers. We can get good rates on those kind of things. So if you're looking for a specific thing, feel free to reach out to us, and we can kind of help guide you through what you might be looking for.
Yeah, I'm looking for some golf shirts I can put my logo and my name on. So
absolutely, do that all the time.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Caleb, how about you tell us a little bit about the business evolving, that you used to be a teacher and you kind of came into entrepreneurship. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I actually taught, I was in the ROTC at Pittsburgh State, and in 2011, they cut all cadets on waivers, and I have asthma, so I was on that cut list. So I actually went into teaching. I taught engineering and architecture for 10 years. And saved up the money to buy all the equipment that I needed, and kind of went into business for myself. And then I met Keisha, and her brilliant mind came together, the designs and all that. and we were a great team to work together, and we created Innovation Hub. We were formerly of Bison Fabrication, but at this point we're now Innovation Hub, and we are a more rounded company. I could do those things, but I'm not nearly as creative as she is. I can build things. Anything you put in front of me, I can put it together. And so it literally started out as me and my wife in my basement with all these machines, turning this stuff out, burning the candle at both ends, make sure we got things done. But like I said, it's the passion thing. I like to make things, and I want to make sure that they are absolutely the tip top that we can make them. So it's been a long haul, but now things are starting to look up. So it's definitely a good thing.
Okay, we've got about 2.5 more minutes in your specific time, but if we want to go ahead and roll into the Q&A, we can do that, and then just open it up to more questions, general or specific to our panel folks or to the community as far as just questions in general, topic of the day or not. All right, thank you, Caleb. Great to learn a little bit more about your business and how you can support the community. Okay, so I'm going to reset the timer for the 15-minute Q&A. And who has a question? Topic of the day or not?
Hey, Caleb, what sort of costs are involved with wrapping a car? I know there's a new upturn on solar. I got a buddy who's working with solar, and I mentioned to him, I said, you need to wrap your car in solar wrap and get on out there. He's got a 2009 Chevrolet Neon.
Yep. So depending on if he has a design or if we have to put the design together, but anywhere between, you're looking at between $2,000 and $5,000, depending upon the vehicle, the intricacies of, is it a full wrap, is it a half wrap, is it a partial wrap, or is it just decals? So, and then materials. If you want 3M or if you want a different product, there's a whole array of different things we can do to meet people's budgets. We had a gal that came through that wanted a full wrap, but her budget wasn't where it needed to be, so we kind of restructured it, used the color of her vehicle, and created more of a partial wrap that looked like a full wrap, but it ended up being within her budget to help her out.
Thank you.
How long does a wrap usually survive the weather when you've got it out in the elements?
The manufacturers say that the vinyl lasts 8 years. They're in their thing. They don't warranty horizontal surfaces, so your hood is going to eat a lot more of the wear and tear as opposed to the side. We do put a UV protectant on the outside of the vinyl to protect both the vinyl and the ink. So in a harsh condition, you're going to probably get 4 to 5 years.
Oh, that's a pretty long time, actually.
I mean, it's a really good way for a lot of like really nice cars that are looking to protect their paint. We'll wrap them just to protect the original paint.
Yeah, and then if you've got a business vehicle, you're probably going to change your business vehicles anyway in 4 or 5 or 6 years.
It's free advertisement whenever you drive it around, and that's one of our biggest. That's our business. We do a lot of business stuff. People when they come in, having their name plastered on there, making sure it's very visible. We use a lot of QR codes to help businesses get as much information out there as possible, so people can, when they're at the stoplight, they can pull their phone out, hit it with a QR code, and they'll have all their contact information.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Santos, I have a question for you.
All righty.
So you said that the focus is in support to the issues that the constituents may have. And you gave some great examples. So would somebody who doesn't know how to address their issue be someone who would be an ideal person to come see you because they don't know which of the alphabet agencies is the source for solving their problem? They could just bring you a problem, but maybe not have an idea of the solution. Is that appropriate? Or do they need to already kind of have a start point in the solving process?
Whatever step they are in the process, what I always tell individuals is our goal is to carry you 99% or 99 yards down the football field. We want you to get that last yard there, meaning if we can, get you across the end zone. So if we start at the 1 yard line because you don't know exactly where you are and you don't know what letter agency, or maybe you're getting bounced around. Maybe the NPRC told you it's the VA's fault and the VA says it's the Army's fault. And then the Army turns around and says, well, we gave everything to the NPRC and it's a never ending circle.
Okay.
We'll find a way to get an answer from one of those agencies and really get an idea as to where to start. So really wherever you are and whatever really problem you're having, reach out, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you. All right. Theodore, I know him as Thor, has his hand up. Go ahead with your question.
My question is for Santos. So my question is, I work with veterans all the time, and I think I've helped 59 right now. 59 veterans get their benefits started, helping them to get registered with the VA, helping them to get their disability. I'm also a real estate agent, so I'm also helping these 50 some people get a home as well. So what would you say would be the biggest question when it comes to people coming in asking about their VA loan? And the other question is, since you work in the government arena, what would be the pushback for someone like me to try to start something for mostly the first responders? Because that's a really big issue, especially that's who I work with a lot. And they're always asking, is there a program? No, it's not. But, how do we get something like that started to give back to the men and women who put their life on the line for us all day?
So with the first question, I would say, with the VA home loan system, and first of all, with you helping 50, even one veteran, I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy getting benefits started or anything like that. So hats off to you. But I will say it is a mess. It's a mess with the across the board. But with the VA home loan specifically, I don't know how many cases I've helped on where there's been an issue because they couldn't get their DD 214 or they couldn't get certain records that helped prove, that what they needed to get this VA home loan. And I'm sure you've kind of ran across that. I would say the first step, I'm sure for you that that is the DD 214 to get that. That's the first thing, square one, if you're going down the VA home loan. Second question, I'd love to chat with you afterwards in regards to creating some sort of, program or anything like that at the federal level. I also think that it would be very empowering to reach out to your state officials as well, state representative, state senator, even the governor, and let them know that this is something that you'd like to see done. I know that sounds like me passing the buck off, but ultimately, the more awareness that you can have on your cause, that's what I would recommend.
I've already reached out to Sharice Davis, her office, and Roger Marshall.
Okay.
To me, I don't give a darn about politics. It's like, what are you doing to help us as far as veterans? Because we put our life on the line for you. And we come back and you just throw us out there with no help, no education, no nothing. So I'm trying to look out for the next generation, because for me, that's my way of giving back. So what are they doing? And I haven't heard anything. It's like, why is it so hard? So I'm just trying to see, let me see if there's an issue that you have to where, I can try to get something started. I mean, I would like to get something started. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get some support on it. Everybody says we love our veterans. We love the men and women protecting us, but why is there nothing to help them to get a home, to get a head start? You know,
Well, and I will say this just to cap, real quick. With you said two important things. You brought up another state, in Kansas, and then you also brought up the other side of the aisle. And those are two big things all the time when it comes to legislation, is looking for co-sponsors. So having those steps, having those connections, having your foot in the door definitely helps any and all when it comes to legislation. And that goes for anything, not just this specific issue, for everyone else out there listening.
Mhm.
But like I said, Theodore, feel free to reach out. I'd love to chat with you, maybe grab some coffee. I mean, whatever. I don't know what your time frame looks like. I know Emma's going to send our information around.
Right.
Feel free to reach out.
That's a pretty big issue and concern. It's not going to be solved in 2 minutes.
Right.
So
feel free to reach out.
I recommend you follow up with each other after the event. All right. Kevin, it looks like you have a question.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So Theodore, I think I want to hit on your idea, and I'm also kind of asking help from Santos as well. Basically, because of a back injury from 2 years ago, I've had to create a service through my internship, because I just completed my first year as a paralegal. And I have found that there is that communication gap where there isn't a service. So I've had to create one where I'm at least able to check back with the veteran at the 1 month, 3 month, and 6 month mark. What this does is it helps prevent people like myself who have learned by experience. It took me 13 years to get my discharge upgraded. Thankfully, I found somebody that was able to do that. Mind you, that's after going to 7 different states and also a territory, Puerto Rico. The big thing is for me about creating this service, I'm trying to see what I can do just with my county level. And it's hard because everybody feels like I'm stepping on their toes because we're either this or we do that. Not everyone is going to be encompassing of the whole entire situation. That's what I think I'm starting to hear out of it, is that there is no real institution that just does a morale welfare check. Just call the veteran back. Hey, how are you? I can give you 3 points of contact at the 1 month mark. Here's 3 points of contact. Call these people, check it out. I call them back at the 3 month mark. I'm like, hey, so out of curiosity, those contacts I gave you, did it work out? Did you get your problem solved? If they did, I'm still going to call them back at the 6 month mark, because that way I can call them, ask them, say, hey, are things still good? Are things still okay? When I have applied for different trust funds because of financial insecurity, my VSO was not very getting back. I understand with the whole epidemic issue with Zoom and Skype, and not everybody's going to get back to you in a timely fashion. Or as if it's similar with the application process, you'll get ghosted. I've had all of these similar issues occur. So I'm hoping I'm kind of hitting on something, on a process that can be developed. And with that, I'll mute myself and I'll listen to somebody older and wiser like Tom.
So let me comment, Santos. Let me comment real quick, just real quick. So what I do when I meet a veteran that's looking for a home, because it's kind of a lead, I ask them, are you a military? Are you a disabled veteran? And they either tell me yes or they tell me no. If they tell me no, I'm like, well, just hold on. And I get on VA. I call the VA and get their benefits started right then and there with an intent to file. That way I start their clock. And I tell them, don't ever stop your clock.
Right.
Don't ever stop your clock. And a lot of veterans don't know that. So then the next step is helping them to get to a VSO that understands. I've had to go up to Leavenworth and tell them, this is what every veteran is authorized to receive. And they don't even know some of the stuff. And I'm like, how is it that I know more than y'all? So just put the people in. Don't tell them that they're not authorized. Let the VA tell them that they're not authorized. So I understand I'm not going to take a lot of time, but there's so much more that I do as a real estate agent and just a battle buddy and everything, and just by educating and stuff. So
my main thing is just calling the veteran back.
Yeah.
I think there are There are steps in the process that have started to do that. I've seen it in the time that I've been at. I've been at for over 8 years now, and I know that there are steps in that process that have been implemented because of the military support community and because of community advocates and veterans who have been stating this is what the community needs. And Santos, you had a comment to the discussion.
Yeah, I know that we're probably running out of time, so I don't want to, I don't want to take too much more, but I will say this to both Kevin and Theodore's point. This is something, actually, I was just out in DC and I was just talking to our legislative assistant about this. This is something that we see that it may be held at, they may do it in certain parts of the country and then they may not do it in other parts of the country. So how we can get follow-up, how we can ensure that this is, continuation of care, basically, is the best way I can describe it. How we can ensure that is met for the veteran. So Kevin and Theodore, like I said, I think I know I for sure have, Kevin, your information. I think we plan on chatting tomorrow. We'll, I'd love to talk with all of you guys, and again, you're going to have my information. Email me every time you're upset, give me a call every time you're upset, or you have a veteran that doesn't know where to go, because, we'll figure it out. And if not, again, this is the policy change. Without hearing from you guys, we don't know how.
Right. Very good. Okay. We have one more question. We are coming up to the end of our 15-minute Q&A, but Alumide, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. All right. My question is pretty quick. So we get to, I'm a veteran, and we get to go through this process where it's like how they call it. It's like a rat race. So basically, you get told when you get out of the Army, get this certification, get this, get that. Do we have somebody in the legislative cabinet or in our states that we can actually meet up with and pass some laws about this veterans coming out? Because they're saying, homeless veterans, we are doing something for homeless veterans, but we're not really seeing it. I have 6 certifications right now and I can't get a job. And the thing is, I've noticed one thing, that what works against me is actually my military background. Nobody wants to hire a scout or an infantry. I'm 100% honest with you, because this is the reason why. My other job as a project manager, I was in charge of hiring. They basically think these people are crazy.
It's an education problem. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why we do events like this, and why there's a lot of military support organizations that are all about information and understanding, what are the needs, what are the challenges. That I said it in the intro, that there is a lot of support. There's not all necessarily well connected. So that's part of what we're trying to do here in the Purple Connection community, is to improve awareness of what the resources and expertise are that is available. Once you are aware that they are there, then you would then have access to take action and connect with those experts. So Santos, now we know in the Purple Connection is our in when it comes to the legislative process as a constituent service manager. So this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to improve access to the resources that do exist. Just because you don't know about them doesn't mean that they are not there.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Caveat to this, I'm sorry, I just want to say this real quick. When I was in Texas, and I had because I'm a project manager, and there were some openings. And for me to even reach somebody in the VA to say, how can I pass this out for veterans to see this and know that, okay, there's some opening in CCNAs, they're offering a class, like Tech System was offering a class in A+ and stuff like that. There was nobody, literally nobody. They were like, okay, I'll call you back. Okay. And then you call me 2 weeks later and tell me you want me to be in the town hall meeting. What are you guys talking about? Like, it's so much of a turn off, like, for me to even do it, because I'm saying, I came in there, I volunteered, I worked with them. And I'll tell them, okay, we have this prize, where can we put this prize? Like, okay, yeah, I know there are veterans looking for a job, but what are you guys doing to get these jobs to them? There are people that go in there. I go in Texas, in Fort Worth, Texas, I go in there with flyers when I used to work as a project manager. And I'll say, here are the locations.
You mind? We have to move on. Thank you. Please contact, one of the members of the community. Contact me. I can help you. I am a transition coach as far as career, and I am all about supporting you getting connected to the right resources. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to the next part of the program, which is the transition tips. Thank you, everybody on the panel, for your remarks. We learned a lot from you today. And to those who had a question. All right, so next up are the transition tips. So Toops Consulting is focused on supporting students and adults in life, school, career, or business transitions. However, this segment of the program, I'm not going to be talking about my business, but what I am going to do is provide some transition tips pertaining to the topic of the day, which is community advocacy. I'll offer some insights and some perspective regarding some paradigm shifts that you may need to do with regard to this topic, whether you are coming out of the service or part of the professional business community. All right, so here we go. What does advocate actually mean, right? So I looked this up on dictionary.com, and it can be a verb used with an object, and it's to speak or write in favor of, support or urge by argument, and recommend publicly. An example sentence is, he advocated higher salaries for teachers. It can also be a verb used without an object, to act as an advocate. An example would be a father who advocates for his disabled child. It can also be a noun, and there's various ways this is defined. It can be a person who speaks or writes in support or defense of a person or cause, usually followed by of. Example, an advocate of peace. It can be a person who pleads for or in behalf of another. It can be a person who pleads the cause of another in a court of law. So the transition tips usually is to kind of help put spotlight on how words mean different things to different people. Because of the environment that they are in. So how is advocate understood in context of the military community? An advocate in the military is often an appointed duty, and it's specifically to represent a wronged party within the guidelines and regulations of the government system. Examples that people from the service would be familiar with is the victim advocate in cases that involve sexual harassment, assault response and prevention. We have the judge adjutant general, or JAG, in legal cases, and we have the adjutant general, or AG, in policy and regulation enforcement cases. All of these type of cases are sensitive or personal in nature and generally kept private. We all know that the military is very structured and disciplined. It's because of the governance system of hierarchy, regulation, and policy. Advocacy within the military is not a public activity. It's done privately in small groups, like-minded and affected individuals who may or may not have the ability to affect system change about the given issue. So despite the fact that our military defends the constitutional rights of freedom of speech and the right to assemble peaceably, while in service, military members are encouraged to be apolitical in public. Part of the oath of service is to support lawful government regulations and policies, and adhere to the guidance and orders of those with official authority within the system. Military members who take part in public community advocacy activities might be viewed as controversial, and their behaviors are then maybe frowned upon, especially if the issues or concerns being demonstrated or discussed are contrary to established organizational rules and processes. They may even jeopardize their future opportunities, their success, or their reputation if they're overly enthusiastic and public in their advocacy. System change within the military at large is monumentally slow due to the very many levels of bureaucracy. Thus, change usually is achieved only at the highest level of the organization as far as system-wide change. The slow pace for change is also because of the varying levels for decision-making the need for negotiated agreements between multiple stakeholders, both in and out of the government, and also money, so budget constraints. Small system changes might be possible at a tactical level through a commander's influence and a commander's policy, but that does not necessarily have enduring impact past their time in command. So system problems or toxic culture resulting from insufficient policies or failure to enforce good policies, sometimes they may remain hidden or condoned by those affected, but it's because of a constraint by the organizational structure, the culture, or maybe the command influence of leaders to speak out about those problems. An example of this in national news in the last few years was the apparent leadership failings at Fort Hood for addressing sexual harassment or sexual assault, which resulted in the deaths of soldiers who were either victims or perpetrators. So what does advocate mean in the non-military community? Within a community, people have the freedom to voice discontent and inform the public of private or social concerns that may be a result of flawed or insufficient policies, or potentially there isn't even a policy or regulation in place that regulates the issue to a predictable positive outcome. People have varying levels of government authority to which they can bring these concerns, right? We talked a little bit about what some of those levels are. Grassroots support to a particular issue often persuades action by local government, as policy makers are elected representatives, and they usually have a personal stake if it's a community issue because they live in that community as well. Like-minded individuals within a community who are organized, passionate, and have resources for informing and sharing their message to the appropriate authorities can affect change given time and persistence. Sometimes the social issues being advocated affect only a small segment of the community. Thus, local laws may remain unchanged. However, something that is kind of unique in America is the multitude of nonprofit groups or organizations that may provide a bridge that address these concerns and serve those in need while the advocacy and legislative processes are ongoing. So you'll find that many people who support causes are volunteers. You had people talk about that already today, quite vocal and active in their activities for informing or fundraising to support the cause. However, just providing information and programs is insufficient for effecting enduring change. Many community advocates balk at the mere mention of getting involved in the political process. But think about this. If the concern is of great enough importance that community resources and support are needed to address it, then it is certainly within the government's purview for enacting a policy or codifying some type of regulation. Getting political is necessary to effect enduring change. Otherwise, the issue remains an issue for perpetuity. So community advocacy can be hard. At whatever level of community advocacy that you personally engage in, whether it's as a volunteer, an event organizer, you're helping market the event, you're fundraising, or you are an executive director of a group, how are you communicating the issue and to what effect? Emotional investment or experience to the issue is usually the initial driver and passion behind advocacy. But at the end of the day, week, month, or years, does the issue get resolved or addressed through a systemized, regulated, or semi-permanent solution that is sustainable? Sustainable by what means? Many nonprofit organizations exist in the military support community and address similar concerns. How are they doing in effecting long-lasting change to what is wrong with the system? Are they competing unnecessarily, potentially, with other organizations for limited resources, such as volunteers, donations, or time, trying to achieve the same outcome? Market analysis and outcomes apply to nonprofit endeavors too. All businesses whether they're for-profit or nonprofit, are attempting to address a need or solve a problem. So the Purple Connection is a community of organizations and business professionals who want to and can help expedite gaining knowledge and access to resources and opportunities. Be cognizant of what gaps you may have in your knowledge or behaviors and seek out the appropriate experts to help you. All right. That's what I have for the transition tips for today. We're going to go ahead and move on to start wrapping up the event. All right. If you're interested in becoming more involved intentionally in facilitated conversations on various transition topics, I invite you to become an American Warrior of the ACA Business Club. Being an American Warrior affords you with many benefits. You'll have access to any of our business club facilities, whether you are here in Kansas City Metro, where we have 5 clubs, or where we have clubs anywhere else in the country or even overseas. You'll have access to over 20 interest groups where American Warriors is only one of them. You'll have the option to join a business development team, and you'll have access to a multitude of club organized or sponsored learning and networking events every single week. You'll have access to the club directory for the members, whether they're virtually, local, or in other metros. And you also have opportunities to step up to leadership, teams, groups, or clubs as they exist where you are. The Purple Connection and the Strengths Profile workshops are sponsored, organized, and facilitated by my company, Toops Consulting. American Warriors are encouraged to attend and invite guests to participate as often as they like in these things. But the other opportunities for American Warriors to engage are in the monthly discussion roundtable, the semi-annual social and guest speaker program, and again, becoming involved in American Warrior leadership opportunities at the executive and club committee levels. For future events, we have next week is the American Warriors Discussion Group Roundtable. The topic of the day is going to be time management. Everyone who attends will have an ability to contribute to the discussion. It's kind of like a mastermind. And some of the subtopics that we'll have in our conversation will be planning horizons, urgency and impact, and systems and processes inherent to time management. The Intro to Strengths Profile workshop is now on demand. If you, as an individual or representative for your organization, are interested in learning a little bit more about the Strengths Profile assessment for yourself or for a group, give me a call, send me a note, and I will be happy to do that workshop on demand. The Purple Connection, as you know, is every month. It's a virtual event. It is the 3rd Thursday, and this is the future lineup for next month. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about this. TPC referrals, it occurs usually the 2nd week of the month. It's an opportunity to connect with me or other members of the TPC community in some intentional networking. You sign up for an appointment slot. It is 20 minutes long, and there are 2 rounds to have everyone who is part of the appointment to introduce themselves, ask for support, or offer what their expertise is. So that'll the invitation for that will be coming out probably next week for Tuesday and Wednesday, July 12th and 13th sessions. All right, next. Here is the lineup for next month. The program is going to be on communication vehicles. Our veteran entrepreneur is Christopher Burnett. He is a musician and educator with Burnett Music Foundation. He is also a veteran, obviously. Community organization representative is Mike Petrie, executive director of Operation Community Cares. Our military-friendly company representative is Lance Martin, who is a photographer and photo editor for Lance Martin Photography, and I will be offering the transition tips. All right, contact me if there's any questions about any of the information or members of the community that were on today that maybe did not leave information in the chat channel. If you've not already done that, please go ahead and share that information so that that can be saved and shared. And if there are any resources within the community that you are unfamiliar with, or you want to know if there is somebody who is an expert, feel free to contact me and I will seek out an appropriate resource for you. Next slide. Thank you, everyone, for participating today, for being here and continuing to contribute to the Purple Connection community. We really do appreciate your support, and have a good evening, and we look forward to seeing you at the next event.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.